Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Basically this video is very different from anything else I posted because it's just a sit down one. I'm just gonna chat a bit. Basically, on another video, someone asked to do a pros and cons of studying abroad. And since I've studied abroad 2 times, I was like, you know what? I feel like I could give some pros and cons of that. I've experienced it 2 times. So I kind of know the whole gist of it, and it's also in 2 different places that I went. 2 very different places, actually. So yeah, I was thinking I would give my 2 cents on that. Basically, I did 2 different study abroad programs. The first one was during my bachelor at university. So for my 5th semester, I went on exchange to the UK, where I was there for half a year and I was at the University of Sheffield. And then the second study abroad was for a year, which is in between my bachelor's and my master's, where I went to the US. I went to the University of Georgia, and that was through a completely different program, had nothing to do with university. Since the University of Sheffield was through my university, like it was a partner university, it was quite easy to apply to because all you had to do is you had to list like a bunch of universities that you wanted to go to in order, and then they kind of looked at your grades and extracurriculars or stuff that you did for the school and then determined which one you would get into. So it was quite easy, but the only thing I had to do was, because I was in a Danish course, I had to take an English test to prove that I was good enough at English to be able to go to any of the universities that required it. So that was kind of like the thing with the University of Sheffield. Now, for the second exchange that I did, I basically like made a little list of stuff to say because there's so much to say about it. And like honestly, I'm gonna try to promote the program because it was actually a really good program to like be a part of. And I feel like you made a lot of connections through it as well. But it did require a lot when applying. So basically, it's called the GRSP, or the Georgia Rotary Student Program, which is basically an ambassadorial scholarship organized by Rotary clubs in Georgia in the US to bring international students to study in colleges and universities in Georgia for one academic year, which is typically from August to May. So you actually don't get to choose the university that you go to. You kind of just apply to it and you kind of just get put in like any university in Georgia. It's all done depending on what the Rotary group that wants to sponsor you chooses and where they're located. The whole point of this program, GRSP, is to promote peace through understanding by facilitating cultural exchange, friendship, and global understanding. And it's not a typical student exchange programs where two people switch countries. Instead, like the student goes to the US to live in Georgia for a year and attends a university there, has a host family, and a Rotary club that supports them. I had 4 different Rotary clubs sponsoring me. And what this program usually covers is tuition, on campus housing, and also meal plans. And then they also cover some of your health insurance, but only some of it. Like you have to pay for the rest of it. So really, you're not spending that much money on the tuition itself, which is an insane experience. So what we ended up being responsible for was our travel to and from the US, medical insurance. Some of it was covered, but not really, and personal expenses such as like food, spending money if you want to travel, anything like that. And then any taxes that came with the scholarship you'd have to pay for as well. Some of the requirements for applying for the program was that you had to be an international student, so you couldn't be a US citizen or have dual US citizenship. Typically applicants had to be between 18 and I think 25. So I was 21 when I applied, when I finished my bachelor, and I think the age range was quite spread. Like we had 18, 19-year-olds, but then we also had 25-year-old as well. So it was a wide range of students. You can't be married or engaged. And even though they are sponsoring you and paying for your tuition, you still have to apply to the university after you find out what university. So you have to be accepted into the university that you were sent to. So I had to apply to the University of Georgia after I found out that that would be the one I would get into. But because they are paying for it, you have a higher chance. Like it's quite easy to get in. And then also you have to be proficient in English and also academically. So you had to take the SATs and the TOEFL or the English IELTS. I don't remember what it was called. I'm gonna like link everything because it is quite a cool program, and I would 100%, if anyone is in between 18 and 25 and watching this, I would really say like look into it. And I know you're thinking like Georgia, a southern state. Like I also, when I applied to it, I was kind of iffy because I didn't know, but it is really such a great experience, and you get to meet so many different people. And I honestly didn't feel unsafe at all the whole time I was there. It was also a crazy time to be there with like it was the elections going on as well. So that was quite an experience. But overall, just the US university experience, specifically in the South, it is insane. Like the university culture is so different from Europe. Like I have never experienced anything like it. Also, like football games, they're so into that. It's such a big thing. And as I mentioned, we had a host family, so every student was delegated a host family. I had four different host families, but one main one because I had four different Rotary clubs. So I had a host family, which basically they provided you with like cultural or familial support, so like so you didn't feel homesick, because the program did recommend that you didn't go home and you just stay in the US the whole year. They also recommended family didn't come visit because people could often like really easily get homesick. So that was a way to kind of make sure that that didn't happen. But basically, you have a host family to like kind of be there for you. And if you have like holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving as well, New Year's, anything, like if you want to be with someone, you can always write to them and always reach out to them, and they would be there. So I spent like Christmas, I spent Thanksgiving with them as well. Yeah, just different holidays. Sometimes in weekends, I just go visit them too. So yeah, you can kind of choose, but also I had such a great group of friends on campus at the university that I got to go to, which really helped as well. And I think those families also there to help students who end up maybe going to a smaller university where like the social life isn't as big of a thing as it was at the University of Georgia, and also helps them meet people through that. Okay, now that I have introduced both of the different types of exchanges that I did, one exchange, one was literally just a year abroad, let's get into the pros and cons. The biggest pro is probably global exposure. Like, you get to experience so many new cultures, languages too, but like for me, I went to the UK and the US, so basically English. But the cultures are very different from back home, and also just like the people that you meet. I did two completely different types of exchanges, and I felt like in the UK, I met a lot of British people because I didn't really socialize much with the international people. And I joined a lot of student societies in the UK, so I joined the GJ Society. I went to like the surf society. They had like bar crawls and stuff like that, so I did that. I was in the a cappella group there, so I met a lot of people there and still keep in contact with these people. But it was a lot of British people. However, in the US, I went to a lot of the international student events, and they had an international student intro week, so specifically for us. So we bonded a lot there and kind of stuck together. But I still did talk to a lot of different American people. But I would say it was two very different experiences. The people that you meet really makes your whole experience. Another pro is you become very independent because you're living alone basically. You don't have your parents with you, so you have to do everything by yourself. You have to be very independent. In the UK, I lived in a flat and I had three other roommates, so we were four living all together. But we each had our own room and like a shared kitchen and common area. But in the US, I had a roommate. So we were literally in one room. We had our own ensuite, which was so nice. But we were in our own room and we had bunk beds. So we were literally in the same room for the whole year. And that was a very different experience. But I feel like that really creates a bonding experience for both of you. Like me and my roommate from the US, we are so close and we still keep in contact, and she goes to my university now. Like, we're like this. Another pro is networking. Again, I feel like that kind of relates to the amount of people that you meet. You meet so many different people, and everyone comes from different places, especially through the courses that you do, your professors as well. And if you like link with them on LinkedIn, like you're gonna have some connections and you can see what they're doing and you can always like reach out. Another pro, traveling. In the UK, so many places, different cities that I hadn't thought about to travel to. Also, like Scotland and Ireland were so close. I didn't get to go to Ireland. I went to Scotland though, and different places around the UK, which was so fun. The US is so big. I could not go everywhere, but I did manage to go to like 5 different states, and I also went to Canada. So like I did get to see quite a bit, and like we'd go on weekend trips to different places as well. So got to travel quite a bit. Another thing about the GRSP program was that basically every month we had a weekend where we'd go on a trip with the GRSP group, and we were like around, I think for our year group we were 38 young people in between 18 and 25, and we'd go on like small weekend trips. They were typically like 3 to 4 days a month to different places in Georgia, which was also so cool because like sometimes we'd go to like little towns or cities in Georgia that I would never have gone to. Like I would not have thought about that. The only thing I can think about when I think of Georgia is Atlanta. That's it. Another thing is, based on the university that you're going to, there's a lot of different things that the universities have to offer, but it all depends on which university you're going to. So the University of Sheffield that I went to apparently had the biggest student society, like student union, and had so many different student societies. So it was very student driven, and there was always something that you could join. And the US, University of Georgia, was one of the biggest football schools, American football, not the proper football, sorry. But that was quite an experience getting to go to all the different football games that they had, especially because the time that I went, because I was there for a year, I got to experience the whole football season. And it was quite a good year for the university. So that was an insane experience. There was also a lot of student societies at the University of Georgia, but I personally didn't join any. I was more like just meeting up with people and going to class and just kind of like exploring Athens, which is where the University of Georgia is. Also, I feel like with all the different travels that I was doing and just like my classes and everything like that, was so difficult to like join a society and fully be a part of one, just because the University of Georgia had so many different activities for students to participate in, whether you were a part of society or not. They also had like sororities and fraternities, which is something you would not find here. And that was an insane experience, and I don't think I would ever join a sorority, but it was so cool just like being able to see it in real life, because it is exactly like it is in the movies. Of course, there are also some cons to all of this. Personally, I would still tell people to go on exchange, but some of the cons are, for example, tuition costs. Like when I went to the UK, it was through a partner university, so I didn't pay for tuition, but I had to pay for housing. And sometimes it can be difficult to find housing. There, they had some student accommodations not through the university, so you had to find it yourself, which was kind of difficult. And sometimes it could be kind of pricey, but thankfully I didn't have to pay for tuition. But just like all those different costs that then add up, that can be a problem, especially if you want to travel too, and like just the overall cost of living and having to pay for yourself and buy your own food. You just have to be aware of that. Another thing that a lot of people struggle with is homesickness. Personally, I never got homesickness, but also because I'm really like being out and meeting new people. So that wasn't a problem with me, but I know a lot of people have trouble being far away from family and friends. Especially like having to adapt to new cultures and like norms and everything like that. Food as well. The US, like the food there, it was good, but also it was not all what I was used to, and I really did miss the food. Maybe I felt homesick about the food. I was like, I could really use some healthy food right now. Sorry, but it's true. Also, when I went to the US and the UK, my best friend, she came to visit both of the places as well. So I had someone that came to visit halfway through both of the stays. And both of them were, when I was in the UK, she came to visit for my birthday, and when I was in the US, she came to visit for New Year's. So it was like really nice to have a familiar face there as well, which I think helped. But also, I never really felt homesick at any point. But if you feel homesickness, that could be a con. Another con is maybe language barriers. Thankfully, I went to 2 places where they speak English with accents, though, but it's English. So it was very easy to get through everything, but I know other people who have been exchanged other places like Spain, for example, and there it can be kind of difficult. Like if you don't know Spanish, some people don't really speak English, or if you go to a specific city there because you're going traveling, you might stumble upon a place where like people just don't speak English. So that can be a problem as well. But then it's always so easy to learn the language there. Like the universities always offer courses in that language. There's Duolingo as well. And I feel like just by being there and hearing people and seeing it everywhere, you quickly pick up the stuff. Con, visa. Applying for visas. It's so annoying that you have to do this. For the UK, I didn't have to because I was there for under 6 months. But for the US, I did. And it wasn't that difficult of a process, but there was just so much paperwork that went into it. I don't remember the entire process, but like they have two different student type of visas, a F1 and a J1. I had to apply for the F1 visa. You have to check which visa your university requires. But I had to apply for that, and then there's another form that you have to apply for as well, just to like be able to live in the US and prove that you're not going there to stay there, you're going to study there. And also just having to take all the different tests, like the English test, the SATs. You have to book it in good time, and also you have to pay for them. Like you're going to be spending money on this stuff as well. So you have to be aware that like sometimes you don't end up getting into the program and you end up spending money on that stuff, but that is one of the things you have to sacrifice. Another con is that you might not be used to their teaching style. When I went to the UK, the university there required that you logged in from your account, so they took attendance to make sure that you were at the classes. Here, I'm a university back home, they don't take attendance. You can basically show up. It's very much like you are in charge of your own learning. In the UK, they kind of were still like, you're in charge of it, but we want to make sure that you're there. So they would take attendance. In the US, some courses would take attendance. Like I had French there, they would take attendance. I had music business and music production where they'd take attendance, but it was very much those courses where it was smaller classes and the teachers were very interactive. Other courses such as I had social media marketing and advertising, they were bigger classes, and it was kind of like only lectures. The other ones also had like classes, so we were together and doing different assignments and stuff like that. Also, the different assessment styles might be very different. In the UK, it was very much home assignment based. Like there was a lot of writing. I don't think I ever had an in-person test, and whereas back here I'm a university, we have oral exams, we have home assignments, we have 4-hour in-person exams, we have so many different types of exams. But in the UK, it was very much just like home written assignments. And in the US, it was just multiple choice. Like I don't think I had anything other than multiple choice, except for in French, where like we had little written sections where we had to write out. Otherwise, everything was multiple choice. So the assessment styles were very different. But I kind of liked that. Like it was fun seeing how different they were, and also I kind of found it easier in the US to take tests than back here. So it really depends on what university you get. Overall, I would say exchange is an amazing opportunity, and I would really recommend it. Like I highly recommend it. For my master's, I can also choose to go on exchange again my third semester. But I think after being on exchange 2 times, I know what it's like, and I do really want to go again. But also, the whole process is very lengthy. It's just annoying sometimes having to wait for everything and do all the different tests. But in the end, it's really worth it. And you make so many friends and you meet so many different people from around different places. And I still keep in contact with a lot of them and still meet up with them. And it's so nice, like when you have to go travel to different places, you can literally just hit them up and be like, hey, could I come stay with you? And like they'll come visit you too. It's just so nice knowing different people from all around the world. But I would definitely say do your own research as well. Look at the universities you want to go to. If it's through your own university, look at the partner universities, and then look at those specific universities and see what the requirements are, which subjects they offer. When I went to university in Sheffield, I looked at the courses as well to make sure like they had something that I liked. Like it didn't have to be everything, but just something that I would want to study. University of Georgia, I could kind of choose anything that I wanted to, which was so nice. So I didn't really have to think about it there. But again, that was not really exchange. That was just a study abroad. So I would say really just do your own research as well. But that's kind of my take on like the pros and cons of studying abroad. I really hope this can be used for something. Like, it might not be the most informative video, but it's just my takes on the pros and cons of studying abroad. And I don't go too in depth. Really, it depends on the place that you're going. But I would say just overall developing as a person, like finding yourself as well, I would highly recommend studying abroad. It really just allows you to explore and be more independent and just not have to rely on people. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in my vlog that's upcoming, where I film a week in my life.